Welcome to Moon Mondays. My name is G. I am your host.
And I am Jasmine Davis, and I'm your host of Mood Mondays.
And
And
today we're going to talk about human sexuality and we're going to talk about porn.
how human sexuality pertains to porn and the different type of porns. And we're gonna debate: is porn really good for you, or is it bad for you, or can two things mean the same? Can it be good or bad? I'm
Two things can be true.
two things can be true at once. I'm a firm believer of that. So, um, first and foremost, this is a no judgment space on using porn. I feel like most of us have used porn in our life. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. I have, but I have
I've
over
used
the,
porn.
but I have seen the effects of what porn does to people, especially me as a woman. When I date men, I have noticed the men who watch porn have unrealistic expectations of what physical activity should be during sexual encounter versus the ones who don't really watch porn. And I feel like it's becoming a big problem for adults, especially adult women, dating guys who watch a lot of porn because we're not getting what we need because these guys have these unrealistic, drastic things, and it creates sometimes an unsafe environment that we don't feel safe.
It doesn't translate into like intimacy of getting to know
Yes.
that person's
Mm-hmm.
desires or kinks, if you will.
Exactly.
Which I do feel a lot of people don't talk about, just the way they like to receive and or give sexual acts consensually
Yeah.
with each other. But
And yeah,
I do feel that porn kind of
made it worse.
alters the reality of having that human sexuality
Yeah.
and interaction.
Is that another reason why you feel, as well as I found in my dating life, why people don't have that conversation? Because their mind is altered by what they think they should be doing versus asking that person what they like. Because it's a lot of things people do that I'm like, don't do that. Like, yeah, no. See,
Don't do
exactly.
this.
I'm one of those girls. I don't like you to do that to me. Absolutely not. I don't even, first of all, if we're just starting to have these encounters, please don't do that. First of all, for many reasons. A, she's very delicate. B, you can have bacteria in your fingers if you're not cleansing, and you can give
Do
us a
you clean your
UTI.
nails?
You can give us a UTI. It's a real thing. And it can hurt if you're not doing it the right way. And if someone is very constricted versus someone who's more open, in my experience, I'm a little bit more constricted. You can't just I'm PG. You can't just, do that. And I don't find that attractive. I'm more of a warmer up, warm her up and don't just be doing all that. But I've noticed the guys who watch a lot of porn, they do that.
Well,
They
I
think
think
it's
porn has now created this aggressive kind of sexual interaction.
agree.
And
Yes.
that may be due to the different levels of porn that I think affects um, people's fetishes.
Yeah.
And some of them may not be,
The most
the
healthy.
most healthy, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, so I do think I now see more aggressive like
Behavior.
behavior from people who
From people, yeah, and I
well, and it
agree.
depends on the type of porn you watch too.
I was gonna say it depends on what type of porn you watch, but I 1000% agree with you because, like, that's why I said it can create some healthy environments for women if you watch a more aggressive behavior and you start a sexual
Yeah,
encounter with a
unhealthy.
woman that you're just starting out this sexual encounter with because you guys are just dating, and you're really aggressive and you haven't even asked her what she wanted. She can now feel a little unsafe, and she's not open to receive intimacy intimacy from you because you're not capable of giving, and the sex sucks for her. But for you, you may enjoy it, and then she doesn't feel safe to continue on that relationship. You just screwed up a relationship basically because porn has, like you said, altered your reality.
Yeah.
Basically. And
this is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Whether then can I communicate what I can do?
That part. So you bring up another good topic of asking your partner whether you are a male or female or whatever you're dating. You should ask that person, what is your comfort level? What do you like? What do you don't like?
Stop talking people through it. Talk through it.
Why is that? Why are people afraid to talk about what they like and what they don't like? Right? What are some of the ways you use to communicate your sexual desires when you're dealing with a partner?
First you have a conversation about what you like.
With yourself or with them?
With yourself.
First, right.
And with them. And sometimes you talk after that. Because some people don't talk after that. Yeah. They just be like, oh, it is. But if you have a partner, you can have a conversation with like, oh, I like when you blah, blah, blah. My mind, register. Yeah. Register how to please and be pleased. I think that's important.
That's really important.
So I try to also listen to the body. Listen to the body around certain sexual acts.
Being aware.
A lot of people aren't very erotic, or there's the lost art of foreplay.
And tantra, what is tantra? I always forget that. Foreplay, especially for women, as me, I'm going to speak from my perspective. You brought up a good point. Foreplay is so important in relationships, and I feel like porn itself rids people of foreplay, and people forget that foreplay is so important leading up to the Big Bang Theory. It's so important. And again, from my perspective, foreplay is one of the things I require. I have to have foreplay leading up to it. You know, every blue moon, yeah, if I'm with my partner and I'm at that point, I just want to I want to do this quick.
You want a microwave or you want to
exactly.
There's those quickies.
Yeah, some quickies does have its place.
There's romantic intimacy ones, where
you're baking the food slowly, and it you can smell all the flavors. Everything is like roasting very smoothly.
It's actually double stimulating.
It is. It really is.
Both receiving that stimulation, because especially if you're more of a partner who likes to please or be pleased, there's always that banter sometimes.
Yes.
I'm gonna make you. You ain't gonna before me. You know what I mean? But sometimes porn takes out the
pleasing of others.
The pleasing of others.
I was just gonna say that.
Selfish at times where you think you should be performing this way and you haven't really communicated. You just like, I'm gonna try this. Well, have you tried to have a
conversation about what you're trying?
Because you getting in that, and then next thing you know, you do some weird shit. You're gonna be
and that person is turned off, and it's vice versa.
You might get beat up.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's just not with men. Some girls too. You have to communicate with that person because, like you said, with porn, if you're watching a lot of porn, you're gonna not have that intimacy foreplay sometimes, and you're just going in there to get yours. It's a little selfish, and it's like it's not about you getting yours. I feel like the art of enjoying sex is lost. So many people, because of porn, is now just want to come. They just want to have an orgasm, and that's great.
It's about immediate gratification.
Immediate gratification versus the satisfaction of enjoying the journey. Like sex is supposed to be like, enjoying the whole journey with connecting with each other, because you're connecting to this person's body and their energy. And if you are going in just to get, like you said yourself, when you say gratification,
Yeah.
because your
Instant gratification.
because your reality has been altered watching porn. Do you really enjoy sex, or do you really enjoy getting off?
And porn brings on performance pressure, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of performance pressure, because it depends on the type of porn you watch, as we say it.
Yeah.
But you know, you have that performance pressure, and then now you can't really perform, or there is, a blockage somewhere, and or you don't feel safe to
You don't feel
receive,
safe to receive,
as you
and
mentioned earlier. Um, it's just, you want it to be more inviting when you are thinking about
mm-hmm.
just having, I would say, the natural connection.
Yeah.
I remember we talked about chemistry a couple podcasts ago,
Mm-hmm.
but having sexual chemistry as well has a form of, you know, real connection with your body.
Exactly.
And your, like, vivid imagination.
Mm-hmm.
So I say this all the time. If you can get off without anything,
Imagination is, to me, the best porn ever.
I can do that and close my eyes.
Yes, if you can close your eyes, it's better. And here's why. A few reasons why porn can be very detrimental to you. It has the ability to actually lower the libido and physically decline your ejaculation.
Yes.
And I read up on a study that blew.
Gray matter, right?
Yes. Oh my God. So this study blew my mind, you guys, about the gray matter.
Gray matter is important for your
so yeah,
connection to
your dopamine.
Dopamine, yeah.
So far as a study, basically from was published by a JAMA psychologist, found the correlation between years of pornography use and a decrease in gray matter in the brain. Porn can lead to sexual issues, like I just said, ejaculation dysfunction, delayed ejaculation, and decrease in libido. In this study that it found, and it can be very damaging to your relationships because it creates, as you stated, unhealthy expectations and self gratification behavior.
Yeah, delayed gratification.
Yeah.
Or
Instant gratification. Yeah.
Putting it off to have a greater reward.
Yeah.
Which you can do that sometimes. Maybe to reward yourself.
What, watching porn?
No, delay how much you watch or when you watch it, and delay the gratification of it to maybe.
And I also feel it depends on how much you watch it,
how you use it,
what you watch, because it's getting crazy out there. It's getting very weird. It's getting very weird out there. That very hardcore, exact fisting. Like people are putting fists up their butt and stuff. Like it's getting crazy. Like I was just eating and I was thinking of, like, let's have the podcast because we're like on time trying to figure out the time. I'm like, should we just have this podcast while we're eating? And my cousin just reminded me of something that no, we can't do that because people get off on watching people eat. And I'm like, what? I mean, no, again, no judgment, but there is porn out there for people that watch people, they get off to it. And that's why I feel like it's getting a little out of control. And yeah, I guess you can use it for certain things, but I feel like the prolonged use, basically, this study saying it can be very damaging.
I feel like you can use it for kind of like maybe a little exposure. I'll say if you have a certain kink.
If you want to study a certain kink,
maybe you can use it together
for research
with your partner.
I think that maybe on the healthcare side, if you're using for more research of a certain kink and using it with your partner versus if you're using it all the time.
And my mic is on.
Yeah. Another study was showing how to detox from it. Like I think a lot of people use porn from escapism. What do you think about that?
I think that's yes. It's escapism is a good one because is it? It's so many layers to that, right? So I'm
So
thinking
many.
about escapism from rejection
Yeah, that's a
because
big important one the study
it's
stated.
well, especially like with certain guys
Yeah,
being rejected from women, they're like, oh, I'll just
exactly.
watch porn, like or whatever. I and then when you do,
Or human beings in
yeah, that's
general
true.
are afraid of rejection.
Yeah, or escaping, that void of
Mm.
not having companionship.
Yeah,
So it's like, well, I don't need it. I watch porn.
which creates a very unhealthy environment for you sexually if you're
Definitely.
using porn for escapism. It's one of the many reasons a lot of people use porn, the study has shown. Also, like trying to find out the intimacy in your life, like how can you be more intimate with yourself and your partner without watching porn?
Yeah, like what we went earlier about foreplay
Yeah,
or communication, because I feel like that helps
yeah.
with learning and discovery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there,
Totally discovery.
and I think
Yeah.
discovery is important in the sexual
Yeah, and it's high
chemistry
just
because you
trying
get
to
to,
discover,
and you do that by you know learning the body, exploring,
asking questions.
asking questions. But when you ask questions and you get communicated to, it's like, yeah, no, I can't read your mind, but I can explore it.
Hmm. But you have to ask a
I can
question in the
explore your
in
mind, and
right in the
exploring that is a
yeah
turn on. You have people who are sapiosexuals and those who are attracted to the
intellect.
intellect of that. So it's like, damn, you want to explore my mind, like, shit, like,
I do think that's sexy
you
too.
know. So I think that there are mixed views on porn,
I totally yeah.
and I do think like you know the weird side of porn. I
It's
don't the
it's
dark,
the dark side. It's a lot going on. Like you said, two things can be true at the same time.
the dark
I
side.
think porn can be very
No.
unhealthy, but I see where it has its purpose. But for prolonged use, I feel like it ultimately can be very damaging to your sex life. And another study I was researching was talking about ways to increase your dopamine back by not watching so much porn and don't just go off it cold turkey. If you're addicted, you have to
Yeah.
gradually go off of it. But also try to find what's your underlying emotional issue, what makes you go to porn every time
Uh,
versus, trying to gain an intimate relationship with a person. What would be your underlying emotional issue that will make you go there, your triggers?
yeah. What can you replace it with?
But that's why I'm asking, what do you think a lot of people emotional
Well,
underlying
like
issues?
undesirability,
Okay.
rejection, like a lot of the negative emotions or negative moods.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for tuning in to Mood Monday.
Sit down.
But I think those things will make people kind of be more prone to using, porn more,
Hmm.
or you know, they want to feel that instant dopamine, right?
Instant dopamine. That's coming up a
Because
lot in the
in
research.
dopamine, it's a it's a brain drug.
You get high off of
And
it.
certain foods, certain feelings, certain things, a lot of things increases your dopamine.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of healthier things to increase your dopamine, like walking outside in the sun,
Mm-hmm.
physical activity that is like exercise.
Not
If
being
you
on your phone as much.
yes,
That's very healthy for you. Not scrolling through Instagram because Instagram, believe it or not, scrolling through Instagram and TikTok,
it's like porn too.
it's kind of like porn. A study have shown that your dopamine can slowly decrease because of the blue light. You're study scrolling for clicks and pics.
And now with the delayed, attention span.
That too, delayed attention span. But did you know another study was showing that it's kind of like porn. Every time someone get a like or heart on their Instagram, it gives them that like you said, that gratification. It's dopamine, and people feel sad when they post something now and they don't get a lot of likes, they don't get a lot of comments.
And that's another this a segue. I know we're talking about porn and human sexuality, but at the same time, that's really dope thinking about, are you getting your dopamine from what you post yourself?
Exactly.
Are you gonna enjoy what you post to share to the world, or not just for likes? Are you really enjoying what you're doing?
Are you enjoying
not just for likes?
And not just for likes, because if you are doing it just for the likes, it's kind of like having a porn addiction. You're addicted to the likes. You're
addicted to the likes. Well, addiction in general has the same
but
mental brain.
They were saying it's the same effect
mental brain
that it has on your dopamine, just like watching porn. It's like you now have like porn. They gotta like your stuff, or you're not satisfied. And again, I just feel like it all leads to destruction.
And speaking of satisfaction, a decrease
in satisfaction,
in sexual satisfaction.
Porn does.
It's more like, I have to watch this to
get off.
Yeah.
How many of us have been there? Be honest.
Yeah, I get.
How many of us have been there? I'm for one, as a woman, I've been there. I had a breakup and I didn't want to be bothered with someone, and I got to watching porn, and I noticed something in my overall orgasms, and I realized like this is not healthy for me, and not saying porn is bad. We're just saying that too much porn is very unhealthy. I personally am trying to detox period from it. But I just feel like if that's something
that might lead you to have sex with your ex. But
we just had a topic about that. But finding a real human connection, or if you have to use your imagination.
How do you increase your imagination when but not outside of discovering others' bodies, discovering your body.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like porn is, because we're all visual.
Yeah.
If you have the gift of sight, we're all visual to what we see, we're stimulated by. So if porn kind of introduced me to something, you might go back and explore it, right? We talked about, say if you didn't watch it and you say you watched it to get exposure to something, and now you're like, I want to try this. You know what I mean? And now you try it, but you don't go back to porn, but you kind of try to figure out visually what stimulates you. And even we discussed using toys or other forms of self pleasure
that could be healthy.
You definitely want healthy.
It has to be. Even with the toys, if you're using toys while you're using toys while you're watching porn, I feel like it's even more damaging to you. But if you're using toys and you're using your imagination, and you brought up something,
double stimulation.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It doesn't happen in real life, a lot. Let's be honest. It's unhealthy expectations. But you brought up a good topic of you said something of how do you increase your imagination. What I found that when I use my imagination during getting myself to where I want to be, when I'm self-pleasuring myself, I couldn't believe how much more stimulation I had doing that versus when I was watching porn, because I use my imagination, and you can do that if you meditate and still your mind and focus on an image. It's storytelling.
Because I'm going to tell you this. She said storytelling, but I have read books. And you watch movies and it doesn't relay what you were vividly thinking of.
Yeah.
But I used to read like these
romantic novels.
Yes.
Erotic.
Erotic. Eroticism is very, I think, artistic.
There's
Because
never nothing wrong with eroticism.
no, I just feel like it's an art of really kind of exploring the salacious side of you.
Yeah.
But you can vividly, like, if I read, like, we used to read same books and other books that definitely brought out like what you kind of would perform in an act, but you also think about like what you envision that to be in your head. They say, oh, this, tall, dark, handsome, or this
I do think you bring up a good point about reading
really
erotic
breasts,
books. Right.
Like
yeah.
You put a picture there when you read. So I feel like reading those erotic things also help. Maybe reading erotic and using toys now.
That I feel like that's helped because now you're using your imagination
And you're learning some words.
and you're learning. You're learning. Reading is fundamental, as they
Very
say.
fundamental.
But I do agree. You're so funny. I freaking love him. Like, but I really do. Just had that image in my head. I do agree that if you like, that's another way of detoxing yourself from porn. If you're that addicted, maybe you should try reading eroticism.
Yeah.
And for me, like I said, what worked for me is imagination. Plan a story in your head. It's like having a story played in your head. Play a story in your head about a situation that's happening with a person that you're attracted to.
Yeah.
And you can sit and self pleasure yourself, but you will get more satisfaction off your imagination than looking at a porn that you send all this stuff on. But I always found that when I use my imagination, and if it's more of an loving way, like me and this person is in a relationship or something like that, it's more satisfying.
Yeah, because now you've
emotionally
your
emotional connection.
Your emotional connection, but you increase your satisfaction, so you're not being satisfied by
just sex.
The fake pleasure.
Exactly.
Say, of that.
So yeah, that's something I noticed. That another thing you guys can use. I just heard myself say that having using more of an emotional connection with sex can help you detox for just watching porn. If you're using a more of emotional connection when you're imagining self pleasure, it's healthier because it will lead to real life of wanting to have more meaningful, sexual encounters and using intimacy and emotional connection versus just wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
That's it. I feel like also you can use technology to cut your screen time, block your websites.
Yep.
I mean, there's safe search for kids. Maybe you want to safe search yourself sometimes.
For adults. Stay off Twitter.
Listen.
And I love X. But you certain things you gotta block off X because
you gotta
mute because if you don't, it will come in your timeline. And sometimes
it will what?
Come in your time. what do you call it? Called timeline, whatever that thing is. And I love watching. Not come, but this one over here. Anyway, I love using X, but I did notice it's a lot of.
You do have to filter.
You got to filter.
And you also have to filter. Like, I mean, I feel like now you have to filter a lot of social media things.
Period.
Your timeline. Like, I try to have a lot more like positive, engaging things on my timeline. Now I'll look at a body of art here and there.
Yeah, because it's so much porn now. Even on Instagram, everyone's in their boxers showing their pecs or their bodies on, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm right. But I do it for modeling reasons. But a lot of people we thirst trapping or whatever. But I think you should limit, like you said, limit your time of looking at sexy people on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, because that's a form of porn. Because now you have this expectation of this person, and some people don't even look like that in real life. But also, you have this image of this is what you want to date, and most the people that's on Instagram, you really probably don't want to date.
Well, it's always you get
You
a
get a
different
perception. You get a
version.
different version of them.
Yeah,
But
you
here and
know.
there, I think that overall, if you're out there and you're addicted to porn, you may need to seek some help. Not
Yeah.
saying you got a problem, but seek some help within yourself and ask yourself, what are you escaping from? Figure out your emotional triggers. Figure out how can you decrease it and add more connective, emotional, sexual encounters in your life and foreplay in your relationships. And I feel like you will have a healthier sex life.
Yeah. Also, if you even want to educate yourself more, like you can go and find a sex therapist.
Recommend it. Highly recommend it.
Who definitely kind of like I studied human sexuality when I got my degree in psychology, but I definitely understand the layers of human sexuality. But seeing a sex therapist really breaks down not just the sexual part of it, but how it affects you emotionally and everything as well. And
Yeah,
you know,
and how it can help you increase your sexuality in a very
yeah,
healthy
healthy way.
way. So, on that note, I would say, yeah, go reach out to your nearest sex therapist and
Yeah.
let us know. Let us know in the comments. I'm really curious. What was your experience with porn? Good and bad, and what was your experience getting help?
Yeah.
How
Or how do you wean yourself from it? How do
yeah,
you
how did you detox from it?
detox
From it, and how do you have those healthy conversations with your partner
around porn
around
and
porn
sex?
and sex in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So let
that's
us
my
know.
mood on Mood Monday. And until next time, I'm Jasmine Davis.
I'm G. Later.
Later.